Hello, 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 everybody. This is your faithful friend Sandra Graves, and welcome to The Code. Don't forget that we are here whenever God allows, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, bringing you speakers, motivational speakers, coaches, different experts in different areas so that they can help you grow. Because you know what? Growing is about learning. You do not know everything. Although I did thought when I was younger that I knew everything, but I learned quickly that it was a lie. So if you think that you know everything, you're lying to yourself. That's the reason why this program is here, to help you to find the code that is going to help you grow and do great things in your life. And every little thing in your life that you can learn is going to be very valuable. You might think, I'm not interested in this topic, but yes, everything is useful at some point in your life. Believe me. Life have taught me those things. But anyway, this is Sandra Graves, and today I have a guest, and she's a copy editor, and her name is Lynette Smith. And I was talking with her before we actually connected here, and she is so much fun. She is a joy to talk to. And the reason why I take my time to be able to talk to people before the show is so that I can actually get to know them before I actually talk and just like, oh, so tell me about yourself. Oh, no, that is so boring. Real people is what I want in this show. And she is real for sure. And she's going to be talking to us about Make a Difference. And the title is Make a Difference. And it was about writing some special letter and heartfelt letter and all this kind of stuff that the world right now, we people are not doing. And that's the reason why this topic is important, because not because you're not doing it, I mean that you shouldn't. Okay? So pay attention, baboso. Pay attention and see how is it that this can be beneficial to you. So, Jeanette, all yours. Tell us, who is Jeanette? What Jeanette is all about, and why? Why should we make a difference? So tell us about you first.
I would like to tell you about a most wonderful story, something that happened to me in November of 2008. My son was getting married, and we were at the rehearsal dinner, and he and his fiancée each brought out a framed letter of appreciation to present to their own parents. And our letter talked about, my son had written about what it was like growing up in the family, what he most admired about his father, what he admired about me, the values he had learned growing up in this family, and then he expressed his thanks for having, for our being such good parents to him and teaching him such good values. And this was just a beautiful, beautiful letter, one page. They had the maid of honor and the best man read those letters aloud while they stood next to us, their parents. And everybody who was there had tears welling up. And I touch my heart every time I think of that night, because that letter was so meaningful. I mean, we knew that he was glad to have us as his parents, but you can say it and it's nice and you sort of remember that they said that. Mm-hmm. But if they put it in a letter, that lasts. You don't want to put it in a text. You don't want to put it in an email. You want to put it in a written letter. Now, yeah, you can compose it on the computer, or you can write it by hand, but certainly sign it by hand.
That's right.
And save that letter, really, because when you present that letter, people know in their hearts that they are appreciated. And I can tell you something, that was 10 years ago almost. And we have that letter in a place of honor in our house. And every time I read it, I am just as moved as I was the first time I heard it. So that's the power of a letter.
Wow, that is really, that's a good story. But how can you help people be able to write that? Because right now we have such thing as YouTube, internet, Facebook, Google. People just search for stuff, point for this, point for that, want to write this. They copy somebody else's information and they send it away. So why write a heartfelt letter?
Because you will make such a difference in the life of the person you're writing to if you put your own unique thoughts and feelings into that letter.
That's right.
And you know, it is not that hard to do. There's just 5 portions of a letter like that, no matter who you're writing to show your appreciation. You can start it out by describing a memory that of some experience you both had together that is a pleasant memory. That's just kind of like an icebreaker. And then you go on to talk about the most important qualities that that person has that you appreciate. And maybe you can give examples of times you saw those qualities in action. After that, you talk about what a difference this person has made in your life. And then you say thank you. And then you sign the letter. Not that complicated.
Wow. You know, but what about those people? Because let me tell you, they have people out there that they are afraid to be vulnerable. They just think that, oh, if I write this letter, they're going to get to know me. Well, of course they're going to get to know you. If you want to build a relationship with someone, you better allow them to know you. But this letter, I mean, I remember my husband, he loved writing me stuff. And there's nothing that you can buy in the store. It's one. No duplicates, no nothing. And every time that he writes something, I just go, oh, I'm so in love, right? But because he took the time to think about me and write about me.
That's right. I want to share another story of what happened recently. My very dear friend, who's 94 years old, she is in hospice right now. She was my mentor. I met her in the early 1980s, and I have composed a letter to her that only last night I read to her about all the difference she made in my life. Now, see, I can't go buy a Hallmark card that says all of that. It doesn't describe the experiences she and I have had together. It doesn't describe how she taught me to write for publication or to do public speaking or to conduct workshops or to write books together and publish them. You can't buy a Hallmark card that says that. You've got to come up with it. And so I was able to, I did several drafts, I'll admit it. But my first draft was handwritten because we were on vacation and I did it while I was on vacation. Then I came back and I put it in the computer. And because I'm a copy editor, I gave it about 5 drafts. Nobody else will do that, I know. Usually it'll be about 3 drafts and you'll be happy with your result. Yeah, it was a good letter, and I read that to her last night. And when we finished, she got up, she stood up, she wanted to hug me, and she says, "Put this letter between us while we hug." She says, because that's how much it means to me. It's between our hearts.
Wow, that is a beautiful story, But I love the story about your son. That letter that he wrote. I love this story. But you that are listening right now, what letter would you like to write? To who? Who is important to you? Have you thought about it yet? Well, let me tell you, if you need help writing letters, you can connect with Lynette. Her information is at the bottom of the screen. All you have to do is visit www.goodwaystowrite.com. www.goodwaystowrite.com. If you like what you're hearing and you believe that maybe you might have some difficulty, maybe you might need some help, maybe there is something that she can help you with in writing that compelling letter, then just reach out to her at www.goodwaystowrite.com. So I'm back to you, Lynette.
Yes, it's really neat. When you're thinking about what are somebody's good qualities, you sometimes wish that the words would come to you, in your heart, but you can't quite come up with the words. One of the tools in this book that I wrote, which is called How to Write Heartfelt Letters to Treasure for Special Occasions and Occasions Made Special. One of the tools, the back, is 15 lists like this. Each page has 72 words on it to describe, oh, an older woman, someone religious or spiritual, a military service member, a supervisor or employee, and so on. You've got 15 different types of people that you can go to the list that's most appropriate for the one you want to write to, and you can see all these words and go, start circling and say, yeah, that applies, that applies, that applies. And then it gives you a clue as to what to write about their good qualities.
So I am I'm used to dating a whole bunch of women, but I finally found the woman of my dreams. And now I want to write her something special like I have never done before. Do you think that your book is going to be able to help me?
Yes, ma'am. This is a comprehensive reference book. It talks all about romance letters as well as the other ones. And if this is a young woman that you are going to write to, I mean, I'm just going to give you about 10 words. Gracious, hardworking, helpful, honest, idealistic, independent, insightful, joyful, kind-hearted, likable, mischievous, and it goes on. These are just some of the words for the young woman. So you get words like that and you go, oh my gosh, she is so kind, or she's so likable, everybody likes her, or she always does good things for other people. It will start inspiring you, these word lists will. But you know what else will help is there's a little section in there, even though I don't believe strongly in having sentences that you can finish. I understand that sometimes we get stuck. And so I have a little section called Great Beginnings to Jumpstart Your Sentences. And if you are writing something, let's say, longing for another, I miss you most when, soon we'll be together and we can. So things like that. So you can pick some starts that will help you get that letter started. And it doesn't have to be a really long letter. You shouldn't be intimidated by that. It just needs to be as long as it needs to be to say what you want to say. But it's more than a thank you note.
That's right.
It's a genuine letter. And it's so important because someone knows when they get that letter that hits your heart. And that, especially if you're trying to impress the love of your life, that's going to go a long ways.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? For me to add to this, think about what you want to say if you were to lose that person. Hopefully you don't, but you definitely want to think about, what if I lose them? What would I say? And you know what? Don't wait for that moment. There's many of us, we wait until someone have departed out of this world for us to get connected with our emotion and be able to tell them everything. But you're alive. They're alive. Why waste time and say, I'm going to wait till the end? Really? Today is the best day of your life. Take advantage of it. We are going to take a break, and when we are right back, Lynette is going to tell us more about this writing compelling letters. We'll be right back.
Thank you to my friend for watching Code. Don't forget that we are here every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are bringing you coaches and speakers, classes, and experts in different areas in order to help grow. That's what we're here for. So if you have any comments, questions, or if you are a sponsor, please send us an email to info@envivoassociate.com. Again, info@envivoassociate.com. With your host, Sandra Graves, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for watching The Code.
Baby, 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 I have been thinking about you. I love you. I don't think I have said these words before. Blah, 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 blah. You can do it. You don't have to wait for me to come up with something to tell you. You can do it. If you have emotions, if you have cried sometime, if you have felt something at some point in your life, if you had a job, if you had a life, you can write it. Okay? You can write it. So definitely, if you believe that there are some things that you just want to do better, That's what Lynette is for. She can help you do it better. She have examples in her book, and she have ways that you can make those improvements to do it better. But you have what it takes to be able to write compelling letter. You just have to believe it. Right, Lynette?
That's right. Yes. Yay!
Yeah! Yeah. I'm in Texas, but I'm not really a Texan. Oh, yeah. So tell us more about this. So what is, we went through it about, them getting into the emotion and how they just started and all of that. So we talk about the starting of the letter. Let's get to the middle of the letter. Is there like some way that we can make it a little funny, tell a funny story, something. How will we go about doing something like that?
Well, once again, if you can look at the traits that that person has, and let's say you have a great sense of humor, right? So you're going to write to your person and talk about their great sense of humor. And you're going to call to mind, I'll never forget the time when we did such and so, and you said this. Everybody there busted up. And that's
Right.
just how you are. You can just pretend you're talking to the person across the table with a cup of coffee in your hands, and you're just writing down what you would say. That's the best way always to write, is to pretend you're just having a conversation and write it down. What would you say to the person? You write it. And then you go back and you clean it up a little bit. And then you say, yeah, this is sounding good. I want to tell a little more about that, though. So then you add to it. When you read it each time and your heart is in it, you'll know what to add, what to change, what to keep the way it is, what's precious, what the person is going to absolutely love about what you included. You'll know these things because you're going to be in touch with your heart. I promise.
So how long should the letter be? Because I remember when I was in New York, I was maybe like 20 something years old, maybe 20, 21, I don't know. This guy, he wrote me a letter, and it was supposed to be a romantic letter. And I was looking forward to it, but it was so long, I could not keep up with that thing. I thought it was an encyclopedia, and I could not read the whole thing. I was just like, oh, it was just too much. So how much do you recommend that, if they're writing to somebody romantic versus your mom versus whatever, how long should be this letter? How much words? How many pages should there be?
The answer depends on who you're writing to, doesn't it? But it also depends on whether you're going to frame it. If you're going to frame it, it's got to be pretty short. Probably ought to be done on the computer, but with a handwritten signature. But you've got a certain amount to say, and you'll want to say it in one page, okay? But if you're doing something else, like I was writing to my mentor, my friend yesterday, I had a lot to say, and I have to admit this was probably the world's longest letter. It was 6 pages long. Big print, okay, and good spacing on it because she's older. But it was
Okay.
6 pages long. So
Okay.
everything depends on everything. I honestly felt a little bit guilty about making it 6 pages, but that's all the different ways that she helped me, and I wanted her to know about all of them because she helped, she took me under her wing, and then she helped me take flight in my life.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show her all the ways she did that.
I like what you said though. I like the double spacing, and just not only the adding the double spacing, but the big letters, because like you said, if it's an older person, then you want to make sure that you have larger letters. And if it's a kid that you write into, then you want to make it a little more animated. Maybe you can draw something in it or something. If it's a woman, maybe you can put a little heart or something inside of it. Just be creative. I mean, what would you like somebody to give you, right?
Exactly. And that's all you do is you turn it around and say, if I were that person, what would I want to receive? And then give it to them from your heart.
That's right. That's
But
right.
there's other creative ways. I know we're running a little short on time, but there's other creative ways to use those words. I've made little plaques that say Ben Smith, who says you're indescribable? And then in lots of pretty colors and fonts, I'm using all those good words that describe them: energetic, enterprising, enthusiastic, and so on. And it's a one-page frameable thing that you can give them. So it's not even a letter, but it tells them what you think is special about them. So there's even that. But it's just important to get the thoughts across, really.
Yeah.
Because they don't know that they're special. Sometimes they go through their whole lives. Some people commit suicide because they don't know they were appreciated. They don't think
right.
they
Good point.
Difference. And hey, tell them while they're still alive that they have made a difference. You could save their lives.
Yeah. I definitely agree. That's a very good point that you made, because I hear it all the time as a motivational speaker. I get messages from people all the time. They feel nobody loves them, and I am across the internet. They send me letters, and I respond, and they feel so special with a letter. So that person can be your friend, your sister, your mom sending me a note, and you don't even know about it because they need to hear from you. So take advantage of this. Take advantage of your abilities to be able to express yourself, because if you don't use it, you might lose it. Definitely. So please visit Lynette at www.goodwaystowrite.com. And the whole point of writing good, because you might be saying, why do I want to write good if this is just my family? Well, that's the reason why. Because it is your family, because they're special. They're so special that you want to make it right. Not because somebody is your family, you give them mediocrity. You have to give them the best. And the best is taking your time to learn to express yourself the best that you can with the best abilities that you have, and be able to make that impact in your life. Right, Lynette?
That's so right. And not only that, but when they get your letter, they're going to save it. And like me with the letter from our son, every time I read it, I feel just as good as the first time I read it.
That's
so
right.
It has lasting power. Compare that to a text, right?
Yeah.
Compare it to an email that's probably going to get lost anyway.
Yes.
There is no comparison. The letter is the permanent thing that gets saved. It even gets saved for future generations.
Mm-hmm.
It helps future generations know what their ancestor was like and what people liked about their ancestor. So this thing is going to be saved even beyond the original lifetime.
Yeah, that's fine. My mom, she had a letter every time that I go see her. She want to show me the letter that I wrote when I was 8 years old, telling her how I'm going to buy her this house and how I'm going to make sure that I was going to never get married. I was never going to have kids. I was going to be with her. She was the queen of my life. Nobody else important for me. And all the time she showed me this letter. It's beautiful because as kids, this is what we do, and then we forget.
Is she trying to hold you to it now and saying you broke the contract?
Actually, no. She's really proud of me that I still write stuff. That's what she says. She says, "Do you still write?" But it is so important that she still. I'm like, what, 48 years old, and she still have this letter. All the time when I go, I'm like, could you show me that thing again? When she don't remember, I actually do. And I'm like, because it take me back. It's so beautiful to be able to look at something that old and be able to say, wow, this is what I did. You can actually see yourself go back in time. The time machine is going to take you there. The letter is your time machine. If you take the time to be able to put your feelings into it, and then somebody come back and say, this is what you wrote for me. Wow! Booyaka! That is like amazing!
Yes.
Love it, love it, love it. So, Lynette, do you have anything else that you want to share with us before the time is up?
I want to share that it feels just as good to write one of these letters as it does to receive one. And I remember back when I was a kid in summer camp, we would send letters to our parents, and we thought it was so cute at the time. We would write 4 Ds on one side, and it would say deliver, D letter, D sooner, D better. and it is a good point to remember. Don't wait till after somebody dies and say, I should have told her how much she meant to me. Tell her now. Tell him now.
Yeah.
Look for opportunities to show your appreciation to people and surprise the heck out of them by putting it in writing in a letter.
That's right. And don't forget to put a stamp on it. Don't just write a letter and send it through the email. That's just defeat the whole purpose. Okay? Send the letter, because when they get it in their hand like this, oh my God, I haven't got this in years.
No.
You know? This is really special. When I get something in the mail, which I actually should be doing that to myself. I get them. My mom sends letters all the time. But now that we are talking about that, I'm going to be writing a lot of letters myself. You see, you just inspired me to write letters.
Good. Well, I have a goal that I want to get millions of people worldwide to write those heartfelt letters of appreciation, because when they do that, they can establish and enhance and even rebuild their relationships, and in that way change their world.
That's right. I believe that I totally agree with you.
I would like to add also that if anyone would like to connect with me, all my social media contacts are on the website, goodwaystowrite.com.
Goodwaystowrite.com. And thank you again, Lynette Smith, for sharing that with us. I love your stories. I love your patience. I love your creativity. I love your imagination. And most of all, I love the heart that you share with us today. Because in order for you to write a good letter, you better be willing to put your heart into it. If you're not willing to put your heart into it, you just wasted time. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Lynette, for being, oh, I got a kiss, and I'm going to give it back. That's back to you. Anyway. And yes, I am going to be writing a letter. And mostly the first one is going to be to my mom. Since I actually mentioned her today, I am going to take my time to write that letter to my mom. And I am going to be looking at Lynette's book to find out how I can write a better letter. And you should too. Okay? That is your homework.
Check Amazon. All those books are there.
Could you show us that book again before we go?
Yes, ma'am. How to Write Heartfelt Letters to Treasure for Special Occasions and Occasions Made Special.
Okay.
Available on Amazon and other outlets. And if you want it custom inscribed, you can order it through my website.
Great. Don't put it down. I wanted to finish with the book up. Okay? Thank you, Lynette.
Thank you.